How's it going today, guys? Back today with another video of introducing you to all the stuff that I have within my studio and why I have it within my studio. Topic of today's discussion, these signed GaryVee shoes. Let's get into it. So why do I have these signed GaryVee shoes? Tremendous question. Before I start, I want a disclaimer, not because I have an issue with them, but I just want it to be known that I am not a GaryVee stan or a complete and utter blind follower fanboy. Once again, not that I have a problem with those who are, just want to make it clear that I am not one of those people. So why GaryVee? So about three or 4 years ago, which is crazy because I don't know what order we're going to release these in, but with a few of these different artists and stuff, I feel like I've mentioned 3 or 4 years ago a lot throughout these videos. And I don't think it's a coincidence that that was around the time I started Every Second Accounts. Here's a random value point that I didn't anticipate making, but you really are, the 5 people, thoughts, mindset, whatever you want to call it, that you surround yourself with. And that was a very pivotal point in my life, and I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of these things that are very pivotal to me started around that time, because that was the time I say, my trajectory in life changed a lot. So just a random tidbit, fact of value, or point of value for those of you watching. So GaryVee. GaryVee was recommended to me by a coworker of mine at the time, who thought I would get a kick and some value out of out of the content that he was putting out. So this is before, I wasn't early onto GaryVee, but also, he's blown up into the stratosphere in terms of popularity since then as well. So I was probably somewhere in the middle in terms of what his current following is and 0. It was a great recommendation by that guy. He saw that I had a lot of drive, a lot of passion for what I was doing, and wanted to give me gave me the recommendation just because he's like, hey, this may be an outlet, for you to get, a ton of value, a ton of insight from, an entrepreneur, someone that's done it, someone that's got a lot of, energy like I did, and someone that, just someone who's out there. If you're watching this, you probably know who GaryVee is or Gary Vaynerchuk is, so I don't have to describe who he is to you. But my coworker was absolutely right. It didn't take long before I was entrenched in his videos, and I had never really been introduced to these, speakers or, really that entire sector. And I don't want to say motivational speaker, but, motivational speakers and entrepreneurs doing, speeches and doing content and providing value and talking about their journeys. I never looked into any of that content or hadn't been experienced or exposed to it beforehand. So this was really eye-opening to me, and really, once again, I always use these words, foundational and fundamental, because those are the 2 words that I would describe what GaryVee was to my business life. I don't think I had yet started Every Second Accounts when I was listening to him, but it was a thought in my mind, and a lot of what he was saying, was pushing me to actually, hey, fuck it, it's time to go and do it. There's no better time than now, and it was motivating in a way. And then his really push to action and to actually go through with it, and the way, he provides actual, I got to stop saying and I will. I'm catching myself now. Yeah, the way that he really kind of laid out the blueprint for like mindset, and you got to hustle, you got to go after it, you've got to do it. There's no fucking handouts, no one's going to help you. A lot of these general things, I don't really have anyone telling me that in my life. So like having him, with his energy and charisma and stuff like that really pushed me to get into it. And he opened the door, to me to start listening to guys like Tom Bilyeu, and who's absolutely another pivotal figure, I would say, in my journey, in my experience here in this life. So I owe a ton to GaryVee. I think he's a tremendous value to people that check his stuff out. And so how did I land on the signed shoes and where that goes? So that's why GaryVee is fundamental, foundational, and was very impactful in my life. It was at an awesome time in my life. He hit me right when I needed it and pushed me to get started on what today is my life, and the centerpiece of my family's life at that. So very, very thankful and grateful. Building on that, I was out in LA visiting a friend of mine, and GaryVee was doing a shoe signing for the Clouds and Dirt release. These shoes, I already had these shoes. I bought a couple pairs online, flipped them and stuff like that, kept one for myself, so that's why they're kind of worn. These are not, dead stock shoes, unlike these. But he was basically, it was kind of like announced last minute, I'm doing this event, and I was already out in LA, so I was like, hell yeah, man, let's certainly go and check it out. So I bought, my friend and I, shoes, so we got some passes to go and meet him, and that's how I got both of these pairs of shoes signed. So this was the pair I bought, this was the pair I was wearing, and yes, I got the opportunity to meet him. It was a super cool experience, a super nice guy. I did actually have the opportunity to meet him again 2 years ago now. So about a year or two after I met him for the first time in LA at the National Card Convention in Chicago, which actually just made me like the guy more. It's super cool that he likes sports cards. Obviously, I've been doing sports cards since I was buying and selling sports cards since I was 5 or 6 years old on eBay and at local card shows and stuff. So that was super cool to later then obviously find out that he was a super big card guy and stuff like that. And so yeah, I got the opportunity to meet him at that show again, and I've seen him speak a few times, and yeah, so that's my that is my Gary Vee story. That is why I have these shoes up. I would say, to kind of recap, that he was pretty fundamental, if I do say so, in my entrepreneurship journey, as he's the one who kind of pushed me to get started, which I am eternally grateful for. So I hope to see him at the National this year. Hopefully they don't cancel or postpone, because I'm very anxiously looking forward to it. And while I don't consume as much of his content anymore, I hope that he continues to, put out that type of content that motivates and pushes people, such as myself, to, actually jump in and get after it, because there's nothing more important than action, and there's nothing more important than getting started as soon as you can, which is no better time than today. So thank you to Gary Vee. Thank you all for watching. And I look forward to talking with you guys again soon. So have a great rest of your day today.